All right, everybody, back again at it. This is Ringside Presents Corner Confessions. Y'all know what it is. And today in this corner, we have the intrepid Gigi Robinson. She is in the building, even if we outside. She is still in the house. Gigi, really quickly, this is your first interview with Corner Confessions. This is going to be all over YouTube. It's going to be spread to the Ringside community. Kind of briefly talk to people about who you are and what it is you do here in Atlanta.
Absolutely. So I am Gigi Robinson. I'm the owner and founder of IamLivingAlign.com, which is my online activation community where I educate people on intuitive astrology, as well as I do life coaching and my most favorite, which is sacred sexuality. I moved to Atlanta in 2002, and believe it or not, I moved here as a microbiologist, and so that was my old world. I'm still a science buff, still a nerd, but I've always been really into sexuality, especially like even younger in high school. It was one of those things that was very intriguing to me. So it just kind of grew into one of these things that was a need for me, meaning that I had to really spend time learning my body as a woman and like really being more responsible for the type of sex that I was having. And so the more that I became more interested in what that meant for me, the more I realized that I needed to create spaces and platforms for me. So the other part, on the sacred sexuality side, I am the creator and founder of Kinked Up ATL, which is my sacred sexuality yearly conference where people can come and experience what it means, to experience kink. What is BDSM? How do you explore it? How do you get in touch with it? And how to just really also build a community. So it's not just about education and experience. It is about family and us building a safe space for us to continue to learn and educate ourselves in the ways of sacred sexuality.
Okay. Now, you hit the word of the day, okay? And you hit the word that brought me to you. You talk about kink, okay? Now, everyone is going to have their own views about what kink is, even people that don't even actually know the definition of it.
Right.
You hear the word kink and you start thinking about a whole lot of other things that may not even pertain to it. I mean, you start thinking about people dressed in leather, gimps, and it can be, and nothing wrong with that.
Right.
That can be sexy.
Yes.
But, to get technical, for the people out there who may be interested or may be curious, briefly describe exactly what kink is.
So kink can be described as anything that, when it comes down to pleasure, that allows you to experience arousal. Okay, so for example, my kink is impact play. I love to be spanked, and I've always loved to be spanked. I didn't even know it was a kink. I just thought it was just something kinky, right?
Yes,
like most of us look at the things that we love or that can turn us on as things that are kinky, but the base word of that is kink. So it's literally just means that. But the difference is, I feel like, between being kinky and kink is the education behind it. Understanding that there are boundaries and that there are safe words and these things that go along with you allowing yourself to either be in either positions of play, whether that be in power dynamic of being the dominant person or being in the submissive space. Either one is still things that you have to learn. You have to learn what it is that you are comfortable with and not comfortable with. So kink goes into it now becoming a practice, right? No, meaning like you're learning and you are not only learning, you're practicing, and in practicing you're taking on the foundations of what these terms mean as it relates to sexuality.
Okay, I like that. So with that being said, you've amassed an amazing community. I know you and I met a couple of years ago. I got a chance to attend one of your Kinked Up ATL events right before the pandemic. Darn it. Pandemic hating on a lot of shit.
Right.
But I had an awesome time. I came, I was actually, funny thing is, I was at Tokyo Valentino last night. Same location, made me think about you. So for the people out there, I mean, we're here in Atlanta, Georgia. You are definitely in the heart of the Bible Belt. How does that play into dealing with so many conservatives, especially black conservatives? How do you amass such a thriving community and a thriving family in a Bible Belt where people have all these different, belief systems, many of which can be very conservative and restrictive? Like, how do you tread those waters?
That's a very deep and interesting question because
We're a deep and interesting channel.
I'm originally from Louisiana, so I think it goes even deeper there, right? On these particular things that we just do and don't do, So for me, on the other side, even though I am from Louisiana, from that particular type of space, I've always been the one to push the boundary. I've always been the one to ask why. Why are we doing this? Why don't we do this? And so for me, even though I know that we are still in what's considered the Bible Belt, Atlanta, Georgia especially, really opened up the whole world for me, from where I came from. So to me, Atlanta helped birth or create a safe space for my freedom and for my sexual freedom. So for me, I felt almost like at home to really put this out there. The reason being is because since I've been here and I've been opening up and being more vulnerable and being more transparent in my life, the more I share the things that I need, I realize that I'm reaching people who definitely need the same types of energy and spaces that I need as well. So, on one end it can seem that it's difficult, but on the other end I felt like as long as you're staying true to you and that you are loving you and the missions that you have to just trust that once you go along these lines that can seem very taboo or talk about things that are very outlandish, because I've always been that one in my family, I'm used to it. I'm used to being that elephant in the room that will point something out when everybody else chooses to ignore it. So I think that the main ways in which I deal with it is just to keep going, is just not to allow the voices of we're not supposed to talk, do those things, not to get in my head to the point to where I deny myself the things that I need, because these events are things that I need. They're not just about the people who come. I'm grateful for the people that come because it's like the confirmation, if you build it, they will come, right?
Oh,
but
yes, they will come.
For me, I'm grateful for that statement being true. But if you build it, they will come is about me. It's like how much more I get to show up for me. So I'm grateful to just, go against, a lot of the standards and things that we shouldn't probably do as it relates to sexuality, and just trust and believe that I'm doing this within reason and within purpose for my own healing, and that other people will get the same.
Okay. So really, with that, in that same vein of questioning, this is Atlanta, Georgia. People that live here know that damn near on every corner there's a mega church. If it's not a mega church, it's a strip club.
Right.
Sometimes they're right next to each other.
Exactly.
But I mean, that kind of speaks to some of the values and some of the belief systems that we have in such a unique city like Atlanta, Georgia. But with doing Kink and amassing a community like this, since you've been doing this, what are some of the stereotypes that you've had to dispel? Because I mean, people that may not know the technical definition of kink,
right,
people that may not be into this, this lifestyle or whatever you want to call it, they're gonna have their their own ideas and their stereotypes, and kink can be very stigmatized. If someone comes out and says, look, I'm kink. Since you've been doing this, what do you think are some of the biggest myths and stereotypes and stigmatas that you've had to dispel?
That kink is all about pain, and it's about I don't want to do this because aren't you harming yourself? What about these bruises, or what about it's a lot of different. I think people focus in on the fact that it can seem, and I'm using that it's coming with a level of discomfort. But on the other end of it, it's always release in these things, right? So the more that we learn that, it may appear on one end that it's something that that could be a hard thing to take. I think once you put yourself in the experience of it, it allows you to see that, you know, kink doesn't have to always involve this deep level of pain. Like, kink can be soft touch, you know, just allowing yourself to feel like using a feather, you know, and going across the skin, like that's really soft, but that provides a light tickle to the body, right? And for some people, it stimulates what we call the erectopedial muscles, which is in the skin. It's what makes you get goosebumps, right? So that is something that could be of a kink to a person. So I think when people first think kink, they think pain, and that's definitely not the case. It's so many different types and variations of kink, and that's the reason why if you get into it, you'll find that everybody, that even some of the things you're doing now, you're already involved in it. Again, you're just not educated about it. Another thing I would think that really comes up very often just in sacred sexuality as a whole is that it's about penetration, and it is not about penetration. Can penetration happen in sacred sexuality and tantric practices? Yes, it can, but that is not the basis of it. The basis of it is energy work, is an energy exchange, you know. So a lot of the work that I love to focus on is sharing energy. So I love like breath work and breathing together and touching one another. So these are other variations of things that happen during Kinked Up ATL. So it's not just about the impact play or the bondage, or like, yeah, that's one of the days when we really do go in depth and learn those things. But Kinked Up ATL is a whole weekend of you really learning how to, you know, access your pleasure, right? Access your kink, but then also to really come to a point to where you can be honest about the fact that maybe you haven't been touched in a while and you just really need love and hugs, right? So somebody can hold space for you and just hold you because that wasn't something that you had. So it's understanding that sacred sexuality is not, you know, everything is not so penis and vagina centered, you know. It's more so about, again, energy and us sharing energy, and we can get so much healing out of just that space versus us having to go directly into a space of, you know, penetration.
Right. Okay. Very interesting. Yeah. You know, that's come up a couple of times, and I know that, you know, when you hear people, I've heard people think of kink and, you know, the people who are so removed from it, and the eyebrows go up, and, you know, folks start clutching the pearls.
Yes.
And I'm just thinking, I think you brought up a great point. I think that you have a lot of people who are into kink and just don't realize
They don't know it.
They just didn't, you know, they don't either, you know, they didn't want to think about a label for what they like. I mean, because everybody likes what they like.
Yeah.
You know, we're all into different things.
Exactly.
But I think some people just have this very finite and concrete view of what kink is to them.
Yes.
So we're gonna segue into the Kinked Up ATL event, but before I go there, I wanted to ask, because kink is so multifaceted, involves so many things. Have you ever come across somebody, or have you ever come across a kink that is just not your thing or disallowed from Kinked Up ATL? Because again, you know, I've been to 2 of your events. Both events had a great time. Got some great networking, met some cool people. People I'm still cool with to this day. And I saw different things, and I'm like, okay, blew my mind. I'm enlightened now. But have you? I mean, you're the go-to person.
Right.
Have you ever come across somebody with a kink that made you be like, you know what, this ain't my thing? You know, we don't do that here.
Right. And so, first of all, just let me say, when it comes down to people's kinks and fetishes, like, this is not to discriminate or to cause any type of way or to judgment on that. It's just because Kinked Up ATL is more so of introductory, meaning like allowing people who have never really identified that they really are even doing a kink. It's a safe space for these people to come in and experience. So it's not that I'm excluding the people who are very seasoned, because we need you too, right? We need you as a education / teaching foreground to be in this space with us. But this is definitely what we want to say is like a new kink vanilla space, right? So like people who are just coming into it. And so when it comes down to things that we just do not allow at Kinked Up ATL, of course, Body fluids are one of them, so we don't, exchange any type of like scat or different things like that. If you guys have never heard of that term, you can look it up and you can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, we don't exchange, like we don't do blood, we don't do urine, we don't do feces. All these things are just stuff that's absolutely no. Of course, we're still, even though we are kind of like going up and down with this COVID thing, is still a very real thing. So we have to be safe, and being safe means us not allowing our fluids to exchange in these ways, right? Being safe. So that's an absolutely no at Kinked Up ATL. Some other fetishes for because it is, again, it's such a kink vanilla space, I haven't had anybody who has filled out, because we have a consent form and a form that everybody has to fill out in order for you to participate, so that we can keep you safe and keep the safe space, meaning like knowing how much you know and how much you don't know, right? So all these things are on our forms. So I have yet to, read through any form and see anything when we ask people like, what do you like, versus what you don't like. Usually these things are within what we call category. Category is just terms of areas of kink, what I'm saying, that people usually normally have, so like, for example, impact play, being flogged versus using a hand or using a paddle, like all these different variations. So everything has been pretty much,
Yeah, I know. I asked that question because,
yeah,
it's funny to hear vanilla kink.
Yeah.
But I know it's applicable. But no, I think you hit the nail on the head, because I was thinking about that. It's like, you know what? I consider myself a pretty open-minded person. Most people that know me know I'm pretty liberal about most things. There are some things I just can't get with, but you mentioned when you talk about the body fluids, I'm like, I don't know. If I met someone who said they wanted to take a dump on me or urine or go to the shower and all that stuff, I'm like, you know what? No judgment from me, but that ain't my ministry.
Right.
I'm like, I'm not going to judge your journey. You just, no matter what you're into. Because that's honestly how I feel about kink. I feel like no matter who you are, what you're into, somebody out there is into the same thing.
Exactly.
You just got to find them.
Find your community.
You got to find your tribe, find your community, because, there are people out there that are into the exact same. If you're into it, trust me, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I asked. I'm like, does it ever get to a point where, like, you have to kind of stop people? Like, you know what?
Yeah.
We don't do that here. No judgment, but not in this space.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm grateful for that, because this right here makes year 4 for us. So we're still a baby, right? We're still growing. But I am grateful that because of my energy that I draw people who are very like-minded, what I'm saying, like me. So, and then as the community grows, because like I said, this is our 4th year doing it, and as far as this October, I'm sure we'll talk about that in a second. But, as we grow, the community is going to become closed. We're not going to always remain as open as we are now, because we do care about the type of energy that we're building as a community. So we want to hold people accountable, right, to working within those spaces. And I think that's what community is really supposed to be. It's like you come in with these talents, but eventually you share these talents, and together you grow, because you're putting that energy into like-minded energy. So I'm grateful for what it has been these past 3 years. I'm really looking forward to all the stuff we're gonna do this year, because I'm excited. Like, we ready. COVID has made us like a little thirsty, right? But what we're gonna do this year and next year, and then as the community starts to close and we get into more of a application based only community, I'm really looking forward to how we travel and do those things together.
Okay, very good. So just like you said, we're gonna segue right now into Kinked Up ATL, the event, what you're known for, how I met you. Everybody out there, please, if you get the opportunity, you need to attend Kinked Up ATL. Very interesting. You meet some cool ass people.
Yes.
Even if it may not be 100% your thing, I would say, look, put it on your bucket list and scratch it off.
Yes.
Because it's an interesting, just colorful event. Really quickly out there, if you're watching, make sure you find the Ringside community on Facebook. Go ahead and just go into the search bar and just type in Ringside LLC and find our private Facebook group. Just request to join. Either myself or one of the admins will grant you access. Go ahead and find our website, ringsidedebates.com. And if you're watching, go ahead and give us a quick like and make sure you follow the channel for all the notifications. So we're going to go ahead and segue into Kinked Up ATL. Please, really quickly, for the audience,
Yes.
what was the inspiration like? Where were you, or what happened the day or night when you were like, you know what, I need to start a conference or a family, or I need to start an event, and that event needs to be centered around kink. Like, what inspired that?
Well, the event is centered around kink and sacred sexuality, so it's a merger. But as far as me, what actually stemmed from was me needing a sacred space for me, right? Like I mentioned earlier, because I am a sacred sex educator, I'm always in these spaces with sex workers. Most of my friends are sex workers, and they're so dope, right? And because I've always been an educator of sex, I never really necessarily consider myself a sex worker as it is a sex educator, but I do love the workings of sex. So for me, I realized that, you know, if there was a kink community in Atlanta, I didn't know about it. And maybe I didn't know about it because I wasn't in the community, you know. So I really wanted to find a way for me to kind of like break into it. I had a rope session, a kink session already, and so I was more so interested in now who else, you know, had did these things and how we can kind of come together with it. And I literally was just on Instagram one day, and I'm always just, if you follow me on IG, I am living the line on IG, or Kinked Up Atlanta on IG, I'm always just like doing random thoughts of things sometimes, you know. And so it was one of those days when I was just, I'm not gonna say I was sexually frustrated, as it was, I just wanted to experience some new things, right? So I got on my IG story, and I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna have me a dungeon party. Now this was before Candy had decided to have her dungeon party, so we must have been in the same vibration, okay? Because she wound up doing hers the first time that year too. But I put it out there, and the response that I got from the women in my DMs was so overwhelming. Like, I don't even think to this day I've probably gotten as much DM responses on anything, you know, that I had for that. And a lot of women were supporting me, and they was like, hey, if you do it, I'm there, I promise you, like, you know, I trust you, I know. And I'm like, oh my God, maybe I can really do this. And just reaching out to some of my, again, other, you know, sex educator friends, other facilitators who I know. You know, I'm very close friends with Tia on Sex Down South. So it's like really having the support of talking to Tia and, you know, and also Marla, just being able to have them in my ear as it relates to something that I wanted to do. It was almost like I already had the foundations of like really putting myself out there. So I didn't really think, though, when I really put the event together, that it would, I thought maybe 15 people would come, right? And it was overwhelming. We had over like 75 people over that first weekend that we did it. We did 2 days the first time we ever launched it. And it was just a beautiful experience, and it really taught me that when there are things that I need for me to keep going, to put it out there, and from that, me doing it that very first time, the 2 days, I instantly knew that I wanted to do more days, because it wasn't enough. Like, we had such a great time those very first 2 days. And just to kind of break down a little bit about how the actual weekend goes, our very first day is education only. So if you are a person who you're not sure about what this is, but it's something in you that's saying, you know what, I want to check this out, Thursday is such a great day to come and hang out with us, because we dress up, we get real cute and sexy, and of course it's Halloween weekend, so you can be whoever you want to be, you know, and we come in and then we learn. So I have actual everyday kink practitioners that's showing you the work that they do with their subs and how a kink session would go. So not only do you get a chance to be entertained, you know, but you get a chance to really see, if you were to decide that you want to really practice in this, you can, you know what you can be looking forward to. So we do a whole day of just, you know, talking to the different people who provide kink. I have some performers come in and do their things as well, and then we just have fun on Thursday night, and then we prepare for the next night. Friday night is our dungeon night, and that's when we actually get a chance to experience some of that kink stuff that we learned on Thursday. Now we have what's called free play. Free play is, just for, those of us who attend. If you are not booking a session with a kink provider, you can also just play with the people who attend. Now we have rules and regulations. Again, these things are on our form that you have to fill out before you attend, but they break down how we access play, how we go about initiating ourselves into a situation with somebody who's interested in playing with us, okay? But if you're not sure about playing with people and you just kind of want to have a one-on-one session, you get a chance to book anybody that you saw on Thursday. You can be like, hey, I want to do a session with you, and then that way you can have a one-on-one first-hand experience of what it's like to actually have a kink session. And then we've added 2 days. For the last 2 years, we've added 2 days, and that's a whole day of sacred sexuality. Now, to be honest with you, this is my favorite. Saturday is my favorite because I really love touch. I'm such a touch bug, and so Thursday we talk about that. We talk about your definitions of touch. We do exercises together. We do,
I like to be touched too.
Yeah, like we have exercises together where we do eye gazing, and we just really get into the center of what it means to just be loved and to be nurtured and cared for. And we spend all night. This year we're gonna spend overnight together. Last year we didn't. This time we're going to spend overnight together and really, if we can, practice these sacred sex practices that we're going to learn on Saturday with one another. So we're going to have some all-night cuddle parties, and some all-night just touch and talk and really get into the raw of it. And then our last day is Sunday, and after you've had this time of being, have impact play and all this education and all this touch, you need a little body care, okay? So Sunday is for that. You come and get the massages. You come in, you can get your hands done, you get your feet done. You can literally get your body worked no matter what it is that you need. We provide it on Sunday to get you back into alignment and get you back ready to go back into what we would consider regular life, right?
Yes,
for that next week.
I like how you put that regular life.
Regular life,
yes,
for the next week. But it's just 4 days of us just really building community. So I would love to have you guys there. Definitely, if you want to know more information, go to kinkedatlanta.com, and how you write that out is kinked up, KINKDUP ATL.com, or you can just Google it. You can Google us at Kinked Up Atlanta or Kinked Up ATL, and follow us to the website to get more details on day-by-day breakdowns of how you can get tickets, or you can just get a whole weekend pass. That's better. It's cheaper, and why would you want to miss anything? Okay, I don't think you want to miss anything.
Experience.
Get the whole experience. But if you still are a little timid, you think that we gonna touch you, you don't want to be touched quite yet, Thursday is a perfect night to come. The general tickets would be $50, but we are doing a lot of sales right now because we still got like 3 months until we go. So it's best to go, and also go to kinkedupatl.com and sign up and subscribe. That way you get all the notifications on the sales that's coming up, how to get your weekend passes. We'll be releasing the lineup on August 1st, even though we already know who's gonna be there. We made y'all wait. So August 1st, we release all those details. And we'll be releasing our host hotel as well. So if you need a place to stay, we'll give you all those details. And we just look forward to you coming and spending, your Halloween adult weekend with us.
Halloween adult weekend.
Yes.
I'm feeling that. I like it. Everybody out there, Gigi Robinson, if you are into kink, you need to know this name. If you are not following her, something wrong with you. But we'll give you a little amnesty. I'll forgive you. But she is one of the godmothers and goddesses of kink in this city.
Aww.
So you need to bookmark her. You need to follow Kinked Up ATL. Follow her on social media. Go to her website. Do what you got to do. But Kinked Up ATL Halloween weekend.
Yes.
Please don't miss it. If you do, something wrong with you. And hey, it is what it is. But I'm not going to judge your journey. Gigi, thank you so much. You have been awesome. Everybody out there, make sure you subscribe, follow, and we are out. Corner Confessions. See y'all next time.